All right, y'all. I've got a story for you that is 4 posts long over the last 15 days, but they're pretty short, so I'm going to try and put them all together. Starts out with, am I the asshole for asking my neighbor to wait for her laundry at her house? And it rolls all the way into, my neighbor found my ex-wife on Facebook and messaged her. Let's get into it. This is from started out in the Am I the Asshole subreddits and then moved into the Entitled People subreddits. All right, let's go. Yesterday, after I picked my son up from school, my neighbor flagged me down in the driveway to ask me if she could use my laundry machine because hers was broken. I said sure because she's my neighbor. While she was in her house gathering her laundry, I made grilled cheeses for myself and my son. When she came over, I showed her where the machine was, and after loading the machine, she came into the kitchen. My neighbor asked if she could have a grilled cheese. I might be a dick, but I thought that was a ridiculous thing to ask. I told her I'd only made 2. She asked why I did that since I knew she was coming over, because she was coming over for laundry, not a grilled cheese. My son offered her half of his. I always put an egg in my grilled cheese sandwiches. She bit into it and was grossed out by the egg, which she should have seen before she bit into it. She then asked where my trash can was, and my son said, "Don't waste food." So she just handed the sandwich back to him. I told him to switch halves with me and then bin the sandwich half when he wasn't looking. She asked to use my bathroom, which I, of course, agreed to. She came back to the kitchen after and asked if I had any refreshments. I said no and suggested that she wait for her clothes to finish at home. She asked if I was trying to get rid of her, and I said we needed to get started on homework. She said she didn't mind. I said we needed to keep distractions to a minimum. She said, "Well, I know when I'm not wanted," and left. I don't think she knew. When she came back to switch her clothes to the dryer, she was very irritated. I apologized for hurting her feelings, and she said it didn't matter, but she sounded angry. Then she left. I feel bad, but I also feel annoyed because who acts that way? I'm going to say I have no idea because that's insane. So, then there was an update one day later. I have a tiny update about my weird neighbor with the broken washing machine. She came back. I know 90% of you said to never let her back in the house, so you were probably going to judge me heavily. In my defense, I was a little flustered by the whole thing. She waved me down again when we were walking up to the house today. She said to wait because she had something for me. I waited because I guess I'm stupid. I figured she would just knock on the door anyway if I didn't. She came back with a pie and said it was thanks for using my washing machine. I said thank you and that she didn't have to. She said, "Let's go inside and try a piece." I said it was almost my son's nap time. She said, "Great, we can eat pie while he naps." A lot of you said she might have been interested in me, and that was still in my head, so I said, "Yeah, you should invite your husband over too." I was expecting that to deter her. Nope. She got very excited and said, "That's a great idea. Here, you take the pie in and I'll go get him." So at that point, I'm internally thinking, what the fuck? My son and I went inside. I started cutting pieces of pie because at that point I felt like a victim of fate. She came over with her husband. I have never seen a man that looked as exasperated and embarrassed as this guy did. We ate pie. The whole time she's asking me weird questions while her husband looked annoyed. Every once in a while I would say something and she would give her husband a look. He kept pretending not to see the looks. After we finished the pie, she asked if I had coffee. Her husband said, "Honey, he wants to put his son down for a nap. Let's go home." She said, "Oh, he doesn't mind." Her husband said, "He minds," while he took her elbow and started leading her out the door. She kept insisting that I didn't until they were outside. I gotta say, I think I'm in love with this guy. As weird and annoying as the whole thing was, I feel a lot better about my neighbor now. Some of the comments had some pretty crazy speculation that made me a little nervous. Now that I've met her husband, I'm pretty sure she's just bored, which is fine. It's annoying, but not creepy. So to all the people who were worried she was trying to seduce me or spy on me or steal from me, don't worry. Based on her husband's reaction, she's just like this. And that's where we thought it would end. But that was 2 weeks ago. 3 days ago, my neighbor found my ex-wife on Facebook and messaged her. I have a weird neighbor with boundary issues. She invited herself into my house twice, and after that I tried to be more assertive in telling her she can't come over. I thought I was doing well, but I had only seen a small slice of what she is truly capable of. My ex-wife called me an hour ago to rip me a new exit orifice. My neighbor found her on Facebook and messaged her to ask if she was my ex-wife. She said she was, and my neighbor asked her if she knew where I was currently living. She said she did. And my neighbor then asked her why our son didn't live with her, his mother. My ex blocked her and then called me to yell at me. I am furious. I want to yell at my neighbor, but I don't want to be stupid. I apologized to my ex-wife, but she is still pissed. How can anyone be so entitled as to think they have the right to interfere in a complete stranger's life like this? She's just my neighbor. We are not friends. And this is beyond the pale. Oh my gosh. All right. Now let me give you the last one. Update. My neighbor found my ex-wife on Facebook and I messaged her. I talked to her husband and he said he talked to her. I don't doubt that he did, but whatever he said didn't get through. My son and I were eating breakfast when I heard a knock on the door. I thought there was absolutely no way it could be her. Shocker! It was her. I looked through the peephole and she was standing there with a baking tray. I just went back to the kitchen. I ignored her. My son wanted to know why I wasn't answering the door, and I said, sometimes we're already doing something important, and so don't have time for other people if it isn't an emergency. I said breakfast with him was definitely important, and it wasn't an emergency, so I wasn't going to answer. She kept knocking for what felt like ages. Her husband must have come out at one point because I heard him calling her name, and she said, I know he's in there. His car is here. Just incorrigible, this woman. I ignored her. I think her husband actually came and pulled her off the porch. That's what it sounded like to me, but I didn't look. Bugs Bunny is less Looney Tunes than she is. Okay, so that's the end of the story. What I'm going to say is, OP, you got a unicorn of a neighbor. And what I mean by that is you got Gladys, who is in everybody's business, must know everybody's business because her life is just that boring. Gray rock her ass. The next time she shows up at your door, you tell her flat out, you're nosy. You reached out to my ex-wife. How dare you? Do not contact me again. You see, because this isn't a neighbor you want to be friends with. This is a neighbor that you are going to have to be blunt and very, very strong in your boundary. No contact whatsoever. She can keep her happy ass in her house because you've already seen the levels of just nosiness and violating your own privacy and your son's. Why? It's none of her damn business. So stay away.